Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. A lot of videos to do, 4 videos for you today. If we can get to them all. Anyway, folks, we're going to have a great show for you. How are my peeps doing? I trust that everybody's doing just fine. Anyway, we're going to have a great time. Anyway, welcome aboard. May Wood from Long Beach, California. Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood. We have Carl Cox from Georgia. We have Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. We also have, AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. We also have, who else is in the house? Michael Rudden, Brooklyn, New York. And as more people come in, I will go ahead. Lee Grant from Montgomery County. How you doing, Lee Grant? All's well, all's well. We're having a good time here. Anyway, folks, let's see what we got to start with. Michael Rudden from Politico. Trump pressed oil executives to give $1 billion for his campaign. People in industry say Aaron Chopla, senior campaign finance director at the Watchdog Group, campaign legal center, and senior lawyer at the Federal Elections Commission, said at a high level, it perfectly captures so much of what's wrong with our big money campaign and finance system. Meredith McGee, an independent expert on government ethics and campaign finance, said this is a scandal, and the notion that our government works where candidates go to industry and promise government action is in exchange for large amounts of money is an indictment of the system. That is so true. This would fall outside the narrow Citizens United ruling, direct quid pro quo, bribe me and I'll do this and that for you, would be an illegal ask. Can we finally expect a bribery charge? No, because, they probably catered that in such a manner that it is covered. Michael Rudden also says, Bill Pascrell, New Jersey congressman, tweeted on the Washington Post, reported today's finds. Michael found Donald Trump demanded a straight up $1 billion bribe from oil executives. Republicans want to sell you out to big oil out of their pockets. Let's see if I can see that on the screen. Okay. I think that can go onto the screen. Let's go ahead and post it there. What we got here is Republican Vote Tracker. Since President Biden took office, 100% of Republicans voted against cheaper gas. 100% of Republicans voted against cheaper insulin. 100% of Republicans voted against cheaper drugs. 100% of Republicans voted against child tax credit. They voted against student debt relief. They voted against the Voting Rights Act. They voted against ending gerrymandering. They voted against fighting climate change. They voted against prosecuting rich tax cut chiefs. They voted against saving Roe versus Wade. They voted against veterans health care. They voted against expelling George Santos. They voted against banning war weapons. They voted against fighting domestic terrorism. They voted against background checks. They voted against keeping birth control legal. They voted against new roads and bridges. They voted against stopping domestic violence. Voted against veteran cancer care, and voted against upholding the election laws. All those things are reproducible, verifiable for anyone who wants to see the truth about what our Republican brothers and sisters in Congress actually represent. I think it is important for people to get these notions and understand that this is the party that you are supporting. It is so very important that we start doing that. Anyway, folks, what else do we have here? Paul Fleming says the Biden administration rule limiting credit card late fees was set to begin tomorrow, but a Trump-appointed judge blocked it at the request of the Chamber of Commerce, costing U.S. families an estimated $27 million a day. MAGA and corporate interests want to keep ripping you off. That is what I'm talking about, folks. I did a piece a few years ago that says the reason why the Republicans have been so taken with controlling the judiciary is the judiciary is the only non-democratic portion. So Congress can pass laws, the president can sign it, and then you take it to the courts, and the court says unconstitutional, or they block it. That is not how it works. We, the people, said it's something that we wanted. It is time for us to get rid of judges, impeach judges. Remember, this is actually anti-democratic, what they're doing. There is the right that Congress gave the president to do this. He has the right to have an executive order that prohibits bankers from stealing legally from the American citizenry. Carl Cox is in the house. He says, wonder how big a bribe the Trump-appointed judges got for doing this. Not much. They live in a society where their bribes are in, I'll take you to my house, you take me to yours. Carl Cox, I hope you're getting all prepared for, I think it's the 17th that you graduate. Good luck, my brother. Good luck. Eric Hayes says, CNN's Farid Zakaria, during his monologue, said the prosecution of Donald Trump is politically motivated and only happening because it is bad orange man. If I didn't see that from CNN Farid Zakaria, but if he's saying that, it's a very foolish statement. And I would love to see a link that points me to that part so that I can go ahead and really blow that up because Farid Zakaria should know better than that. I hope he's not captured by the right. Let's see what else we have here. Eric says, really good fiscal accountability. California Governor Newsom has promised eliminating 10,000 vacant state jobs and cutting spending across 260 state programs due to his state budget deficit of $27 billion. $27 billion for California. They've been running good surpluses. They've been running very effective government. Paul Fleming says, Dallas News, American Airlines, 5 of the major U.S. airlines and the D.C. lobbying group, which represents all air carriers in the country, are suing the Biden administration over a new rule that requires airlines to disclose all fees associated with purchasing a ticket. Can you believe that? We're going to sue Biden because he wants us to tell the truth to the customer as far as what things would cost. Oh, my God. Can that be real? Eric Hayes says, oh, whoa, supporters of Israel gathered outside the Manhattan office of Senator Major Leader Chuck Schumer on Friday, chanting traitor and calling on the nation's highest-ranking Jewish politician to resign. Backstabbing. Oh, really? I get a life, guys. They won't like what I put out here on what Bernie Sanders said. Then, what do they want to do with Bernie Sanders, the other Jewish senator in the Senate? Right? It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, let me go ahead and start queuing these programs that I told you that I had for you today. Let's see. That's Dana Bash, Kristen Welker, Jewish senator. And it seems to me like one of them were missing. No. Okay. Those are the 3. It's actually 3 videos that I have for you all today. 3 videos. All right. Bruce Pollard is in the house. Howdy, Posse. How you doing, brother Bruce? Great to see you here. Great having you here, my brother. Let's see what else we got here. Blessed are the poor in spirit. There is a kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn. They will be comforted. Okay. All right. Michael says, Egberto, the Supreme Court specifically said that the appearance of corruption required a direct quid pro quo request. When Trump offered for that, he went against the law previously set by the Supreme Court. It's a question of whether the Supreme Court can uphold their own standards and be ideologically consistent. Why would they start that now? Why would they start trying to be ideologically consistent now? They won't be. That's not who they are. They are a crooked political bunch. So that's what we know we got. All right. Let's see what else. Thank you for the update in those numbers. Day 227, October 23. At least 35,091 Palestinians are killed, 148 persons more than day 217. At least 78,827 wounded, 437 persons more than day 217. 113,918 casualties. Thank you for keeping us updated on that information, my brother. All right, let's see what else we have. Para ver. Lee Grant says, I'm against fighting domestic terrorism when parents of school children are falsely labeled as domestic terrorists. I don't get that. If they're domestic terrorists, I don't care if they're kids or not. They're domestic terrorists. All right. Carl Cox says, going to rain on my graduation ceremony parade. Why? How am I going to rain on your graduation day parade, my brother? We're proud of you. What do you mean? I'm lost. What day is your graduation? Is it the 17th? I don't remember. But you're saying it is going to rain on that day. Oh, maybe they'll have an open cloud for you, my brother. Paul Fleming says, if homes seem more expensive than ever, it's because they are. Even after adjusting for inflation, U.S. home buyers are spending more than double to buy a home now than they were in 1965, when the median home price was $20,200, according to the U.S. Census. In 2024 dollars, that works out to roughly $202,000, which is less than the $420 that a home costs today. Again, that is because of capitalism and what we call growth. They don't realize that growth is exponential. If you say, I want 7% growth, that's exponential growth. You cannot maintain that forever. Only somebody who doesn't understand math. And we know that for all practical purposes, that's a whole lot of people who do business. But what can we say, my friends? All right. Good catch here, Paul Fleming. Let's see. Michael, you wanted a link. The question about needs to be asked. Do we have the rule of law? Trump is being accused of hiding a political scandal during his election, falsifying business records to facilitate hiding that scandal. Had the people known about this, a sufficient number of so-called family values voters would have stayed home. I agree with that. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Get that into the fold. Paul Fleming says Georgia's parliament is set to pass a highly controversial so-called foreign agents bill that has triggered widespread protests across the former Soviet Republic nestled in the Caucasus Mountain. Here's what you need to know about the proposed law. Never heard of it. I didn't see it. What is it? Georgia's Foreign Agents Bill. Georgia Parliament is set to pass a highly controversial so-called foreign bills. Tens of thousands of people in capital city Tbilisi have been protesting the legislation. Critics warn that it mirrors a foreign agents law already passed in Russia and could jeopardize Georgia's bid to join the European Union. But Prime Minister Irakli Kobadinsky said that the government is not planning any substantial changes to the bill and has vowed, oh, you mean Georgia, the country Georgia. I kind of missed that for a while. You meant the country Georgia, not the state of Georgia. Got you. All right. Carl Cox says, wrong, Mike Cisak. Mike Cisak says, Michael, when did Trump offer a this for that? It wasn't during the Ukraine call. In fact, Trump never did try such for. I can't read any more of that, Mike, because I love you, brother, but you're a Trump sycophant. Sorry. I mean, Trump can do no wrong. This is an evil man. And if you can't see it, I don't know how you're wired, my friend, but, we'll always be here for you. Let's see what else we got here. Melanie Keelan is in the house from Barcelona, Spain. And of course, Mike Cisak is from Missouri. All right, let's go to our first video. The first video I'm going to do is our Jewish Senator, El Señor Bernie Sanders, has something to tell Israel. Let's go ahead and talk about Israel, rather. Here we go. Bernie Sanders, a Jewish senator, says it all. He calls out Netanyahu and his government as he should. Take a listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Who defended the report, the fact that there was no definitive conclusion drawn. He also said he has not seen a definitive plan from Israel to go into Rafah without mitigating civilian casualties. What was your takeaway, Senator?
Well, Kristen, I have a lot of respect for Tony Blinken. He has an impossibly difficult job. But the reality is I think any objective observer knows Israel has broken international law. It has broken American law. And in my view, Israel should not be receiving another nickel in U.S. military aid. Look, the facts are quite clear. Hamas is a terrible, disgusting terrorist organization that began this war. But what Israel has done over the last 7 months is not just gone to war against Hamas, it has gone to war against the entire Palestinian people. And the results have been absolutely catastrophic. I mean, Kristen, we're talking about not just 35,000 Palestinians dead and 77,000 wounded, 2/3 of whom are women and children. That is not the way you conduct a war in a civilized society to the degree that war is civilized. We're talking about 60% of the housing in Gaza having been destroyed. The civilian infrastructure, that's water, that is raw sewage now running out into the streets, no electricity. You are talking about a systematic destruction of the healthcare system there. Every university in Gaza has been bombed. And right now, most frighteningly, according to the humanitarian organizations, we are looking at the likelihood of hundreds of thousands of children facing starvation. The Foreign Assistance Act is very, very clear. 6201, the provision. Any entity, any state, any country that blocks U.S. humanitarian aid is in violation of law and should not continue to receive military aid from the United States. That is precisely what Israel has done.
Senator, let me just press you a bit, because I hear you saying you believe Israel shouldn't receive another cent. And yet 26 House Democrats wrote a letter to the White House saying they are, quote, deeply concerned about the message the administration is sending to Hamas and other Iranian-backed terrorist proxies. Does withholding weapons to Israel run the risk of prolonging this war and weakening Israel's hand against Hamas?
No, well, I understand. Look, every Republican, as I understand it, wants to give huge amounts of money to Israel. My guess is that many Republicans want Israel to go into Rafah despite the incredible humanitarian destruction that will cause. And there are Democrats who also feel that way. But this is what I will tell you, Kristen. That is not what the American people feel. Poll after poll suggests that the American people want an immediate ceasefire. They want massive humanitarian aid to get in. The people of our country do not want to be complicit in the starvation of hundreds of thousands of children. And by the way, when we talk about the international community, we are increasingly isolated in terms of our support for Israel, who is becoming a pariah nation.
But, Senator, I mean, is there a non-military way to get rid of Hamas, given the threat that they pose, given that they say their very goal is to destroy Israel's existence?
You're absolutely right. Look, Hamas that is exactly right. That is their goal. It is difficult. I don't want to minimize this. So the goal is to defeat Hamas, but not to destroy or cause the enormous amount of destruction that we're now seeing in Gaza. And I hope that the future for the Palestinian people is a new generation of Palestinian leaders who focus on allowing the people to have a state of their own. We got to support a two-state solution, improving the economy, rebuilding the economy. That's the long-term goal.
Bernie Sanders is not. Bernie Sanders is Jewish. No one can accuse him of being anti-Semitic. Bernie Sanders is a learned person. Nobody can accuse him of not knowing the entire history of Israel and Palestine. Nobody can accuse him of that. The fact that he can come out and preach what his eyes are seeing, we can all see what's occurring in Gaza. And it is an international crime. It is genocide. It is, whether we want to accept it or not, whether we're scared to talk about it or not, we have to be honest with it. Else, why would any other country take us seriously when we are trying to play mediators to solve problems internationally? Israel destroying entire infrastructure. In effect, they are trying to make life unlivable in Gaza. And if life is unlivable in Gaza, what then happens? A migration out of humanity from the rest of the world. That is what they're trying to do. And that is the classic definition of genocide. And yes, yesterday, if you watched 60 Minutes, you saw some stories about Israel fighting a war on three flanks or in three fronts. Yeah, that is true. But ask yourself many a question. Why is Israel building a whole lot of settlements inside of occupied territory in the West Bank? Ask why is it that the treatment, if you see how the military, and look, you know why they want to get rid of TikTok? You know why they want to get rid of all these other sources of independent media? Because it is unfettered. You can actually see the truth. Yes, you can see a lot of lies too, but you have to be able to discern reality. And the reality is the treatment that, and they say it themselves, they don't hide it. The right-wing Palestinians don't hide it. They don't think of Palestinians as savages. They think of Palestinians as animals. And as such, they have no concern, no human concern for these people. And it shows. And for those who would say, why will you be defending somebody that take away the rights of women, that take away the rights of homosexuals, etc.? All of that is true. But we're fighting two separate battles. One is a battle of humanity. The other is a cultural battle. The battle of humanity, Netanyahu and his team are losing it miserably. Because again, what they're doing is patently inhumane. It is genocide. And it doesn't matter what Hillary Clinton say. It doesn't matter what you hear on network TV. When they're trying to make excuses for Israel. When Biden goes out and he says, I am talking to Netanyahu, I'm trying to get him to treat innocent civilians better, not to go in with that kind of fighting power. No, every time you talk to him and you wait days to talk again, there are more dead people. It is time to tell Netanyahu, stop or else. Ceasefire or else. And I don't want to hear folks telling, well, look at what Hamas did. They both did bad things. But I can tell you one thing. Look at Gaza, and then look at Tel Aviv, look at Haifa, look at Jerusalem. One place, there's no healthcare, no nothing. The other place, yes, you have to run into bomb shelters every so often, but you have a life. Folks, your eye, don't let them tell you your eyes are not seeing what it's seeing. Don't let them tell you that everything that you see on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, that somehow that is propaganda. No, dead people are dead people are dead people, and 34,000 dead Palestinians are and 1,200 dead Israelis. It's a terrible situation. But what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza, by not just killing fighters, terrorists, but by methodically destroying the infrastructure, healthcare, education, and everything else, we are complicit. And if we continue to be complicit, God help us all.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Absolutely, folks. Please join. Click that join button if you're on YouTube and become a part of our PDR posse. We're one big family here, and we love doing what we do. We are changing the world. We're going to change the United States back into what it professes that it is, as opposed to what the right wing would like to do to it, which is pretty much turn it into a Taliban-like state. What do they call it when you have a state run by the clergy, or something of that nature? But anyhow, what do they call that? What do they call a state that's a church state? What is it called? Anyway, I'll remember it at some time. All right, let's see. Korokak says Mike Cisak believes Russian MAGA propaganda. Yep, that's their target. That is their target. That is their target. All right, what else have we got here? Para ver, ¿qué voy a decir? Okay, I'm scrolling down. The micro says October 7th was a terrorist attack. The retaliation to October 7th has been completely disproportionate. The results is 400,000 destroyed homes and over 25,000 killed, women and children. You can't reply to terrorism with ethnic cleansing and genocide of civilians, which is exactly what is occurring. And thank you for pointing that out. The more people point that out, the more it would be. Our beautiful, beautiful Bridge MCP is here with us. Hey, y'all. How you doing, beautiful? Great to have you here. You've been missed a few times that you have been missing. We always love to have you in our conversation, beautiful. All right, let's see. Anybody else joined in that I missed to acknowledge? Anybody else joined in that I missed to acknowledge? Just Mark Cisak for Biden. Welcome, my brother. Mike Cisak, welcome. Tom Zarnik. Our limerick extraordinaire. Let's see what Tom has to say. He says, nationally, there is a shortage of more than 7 million affordable homes for our nation's 10.8 million plus extremely low income families. There is no state or county where a renter working full time at minimum wage can even afford a 2-bedroom apartment. I did that today on the program, in my KPFT program. I was reading an article in Common Dreams that spoke about that. That's a very important, that is so important. Let me see if that document is something that I should put onto the screen. The gap, let's see. The National Low Income Housing Coalition. Thanks for providing that. That's a good piece to have. Let me go ahead and bookmark that as well. That is a good thing to have, to be read. Yeah, let's do that. Done. All right. There you go. I have that bookmark. That's a good one. Good pickup there, my brother. All right. What else have we got here? Mike Cisak says it has come out that every single prosecutor or DA has had meetings with the Biden White House before such suits came about. This is collusion of the worst order, making it a RICO conspiracy by Biden and others. Man, it's amazing how you buy up all this crap from the right wing, eh? It's just amazing. I wrote the book, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. You are the most difficult one to talk to, my dear brother Cisak. But as you can see, I can actually work with you. But my God, how do you let yourself be so ill-informed? At some point, willful ignorance is your fault. You know that, right? And you shouldn't have to wait for the pain before you start, using what God gave you between those two ears, my brother. All right, let's see what else we got here. Michael Ruddin says, I read that one already. Theocracy, that's what I was looking for. Theocracy. We are not a theocracy, but they would love us to become a theocracy. All right, and you know what? You know why they would like theocracies? Because the leaders of a theocracy, the reverends and pastors and clergy, they're all corrupt, right? All you have to do is listen to Ed Young here in Texas, leader of this huge Second Baptist Church, and listen to the things that he says, and you learn. So what the idea is this. One of the reasons we as a country like dictators is that we can send down the edict to the dictator, and the dictator has to follow it, and the dictator does whatever it is that we want because he controlled that many people. And that's why we like church leaders, right? Because we can give the message to the church leader, pay that church leader off, and that church leader has an entire flock, thousands, that they then control their vote. That's the magic about working with the church. People don't ask questions, right? They just follow the almighty pastor who has divine signals to the Lord. That's what it's all about. We claim to want democracy here, but we love dictatorships around the world because we don't have to but tell one person what to do. And that dictator gets it out to the rest of the people, and voila, that's what we do. It's such an important point that we need to realize, folks. All right, what else have we got here? I saw Bridge wrote something. Bridge says, DN, yes, bias and credibility, questionable source. A questionable source exhibits one or more of the following: extreme bias, consistent promotion of propaganda conspiracies, poor or no source into credible invitation. Exactly, my dear beautiful lady. But some people just need to have a source that tells them something they want to hear. It's what we call the willfully ignorant, right? They are blissful in their own ignorance because all the prejudices that they have, it fulfills. And that is what people have to be careful of. That's what one has to be careful of. Paul Fleming says more than 5,000 workers at two Mercedes-Benz plants in Alabama begin voting Monday on whether or not to join the United Arab Auto Workers. I mean, hands down, I think we're going to win, said Robert Johnson, a worker at the Mercedes-Benz battery plant in Woodstock, Alabama. We are going to win, hopefully by a lot. Everybody's excited. They'll be foolish not to vote it in. If they don't, again, you know what kind of minds that would say, right? All right, let's go to our second video. The second video is with Dana Bash with JD Vance. I think it's an important one that I got to put here. Let's go ahead and do that right this very minute. JD Vance appeared with Dana Bash, and he attempted once again to make it seem like somehow the president, Biden, was anti-Semitic, while Trump and the Republicans are the bastions of support for our Jewish citizens in Israel. Of course, it could not be further from the truth, because we know that the majority of anti-Semitism occurs with a Republican base that have even marched on the streets with the support of the president, singing, "Jews will not replace us." So sometimes it's upsetting that we don't get these hosts to challenge when that impression is made by the person they're interviewing. And Dana Bash, while she didn't do it as in a form that I would appreciate a bit more forceful so that Americans can understand what's going on, at least she pushed back. I want you to listen to this snippet from an interview that she did with JD Vance, and then we'll take it on the other side. JD Vance is a Republican senator from Ohio. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Historically, the notion of saying to Jews, you should put Israel first and what happens in Israel first, and not sort of consider them American citizens first, has been used as an anti-Semitic trope. Do you recognize that there? And perhaps that language isn't exactly on point when you're talking about something that is very, very, it's like a tinderbox right now.
We have to remember Donald Trump is very direct here.
But you said he was right.
And he hasn't singled out Jewish Americans. He singled out a lot of people for voting for Joe Biden and suggesting they've got to wake up and elect him as president in 2024. So I don't think there's any effort to single out Jewish Americans. And just on that particular question about tropes, I mean, look, we know that Jewish Americans and non-Jewish Americans care about our ally Israel. We know that Jewish Americans and non-Jewish Americans care a lot about these ridiculous protests. I actually have a friend of mine whose brother was graduating from Columbia who had the graduation ceremony canceled. And that's a non-Jewish person who cares a lot about these anti-Semitic protests. So I think the fact that Donald Trump is talking about Jews in that particular context does not mean he doesn't think the same lessons apply to a whole host of American citizens.
Yeah, because he did say that any Jewish person who voted for Joe Biden should be ashamed of themselves. I want to move on.
But he's made similar comments about a lot of different groups of people, Dana. I don't think anybody could look at the presidency and the conduct of Donald Trump and say, this is a person who's somehow anti-Semitic. And I think whether you're Jewish or not, you should be looking at the record of Joe Biden.
He had dinner with Nick Fuentes, who is an avowed anti-Semite.
It is important for us to understand that while Donald Trump and all of them are trying to politically harm the president for holding back bombs that would kill many innocent Palestinians, because Netanyahu is what I can only refer to as a murdering war criminal, it's still, they would want one to believe that Biden doing the right thing, Biden doing the humane thing is what it's wrong. It's anti-Semitic, while they are standing up for Israel when they themselves are the anti-Semitic ones. I want you to start believing your eyes. We take a look at what Netanyahu has done to Gaza, and you take a look at the people having coffee and drinking and having fun in Tel Aviv, in Haifa, and all these other cities in Israel. You wouldn't even know there's a war a few miles down the road, because Israel is protected by an iron dome, a lot of it from the United States of America. And while they are plummeting and plunging the Palestinian people. Come on, folks, believe your eyes.
We spend
absolutely believe your eyes, Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. Let's see. Michael Rodney says, let's see, what is it? What's that JPEG there? Some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Oh, Rodney. I understand what you mean. Okay, let's show Rodney's piece here. There we go. Some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make to be willfully ignorant. I think that's what you mean. I think that's what you mean. All right, what else have we got here? We got one more video. Then I'm going to go into a little trickle-down economics that we kind of covered this morning at KPFT. And then we'll close this baby down thereafter. So let's go ahead and do that right now, and then we'll take it on the other side. Kristen Welker, she got Republican Senator Lindsey Graham into a moronic, unhinged, warmongering rant that you have got to hear. But within this rant, there's something that one has got to realize, that in the examples that he uses, it shows you that he considers some people the other. Some people's lives don't have much value. So annihilating them for your win, your better good is okay. This is from these guys that like to talk about it as if they are the party of life, the party that believes in humanity, the party that believes in the sanctity of life. Yet they are a warmongering bunch that sadly are nothing more than the masters of death. I want you to listen to Lindsey Graham here. I mean, Welker brought up a very important point. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
President Biden is not the first president to use arms shipments to try to influence Israeli policy. As you know, former President Ronald Reagan on multiple occasions withheld weapons to impact Israel's military actions. Did President Reagan show that using U.S. military aid as leverage can actually be an effective way to rein in and impact Israel's policy?
When you're telling the world you're going to restrict weapons delivery to the Jewish state who is fighting a three-front war for their survival, it emboldens Iran. It emboldens Hamas. Sinwar is probably juiced up on the idea there's daylight between the United States and Israel. The hostage deal is harder. This is the worst decision in the history of the U.S.-Israel relationship to deny weapons at a time the Jewish state could be destroyed. So here's what I would say. There is some hope we can get over this. Non-negotiable, the destruction of Hamas. Nobody in Israel will allow Hamas to be standing militarily or politically when this is over. How we get there is subject to negotiation. My problem is not with the weapons that Israel is using. My problem is with the tactics that Hamas is using, and the idea that America would not send a nickel of aid, echoed by a United States senator when all the Jews are trying to be killed by radical Islamic groups, tells us where we're at as a nation. The Republican Party is with Israel without apology.
Well, historians would say, why is it okay for Reagan to do it and not President Biden? But let me ask you about
why is it okay?
Deal.
Well, can I say this? Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
Senator, again, military officials say
whatever
the technology has changed. But let me ask you about how all
these
of this
military officials that you're talking about
let me ask you something.
Full of crap.
Yes, many times Ronald Reagan used his leverage over Israel to get Israel to not do the silly things that similar to what it's doing right now, which is a genocide against the Palestinians. But here is the interesting thing, right? Notice how he was unhinged. Why? Because he had to be shown he was inconsistent. He cannot speak ill of Reagan, so he masks that with exploding and making it's okay for us to have killed hundreds of thousands with 2 nuclear bombs. And by the way, those guys who say otherwise are full of crap. Those guys who believe in humanity are full of crap. No, Lindsey Graham, it is you who are full of that, because it is you who don't value the sanctity of life. It is you who hypocritically want to prevent a woman from doing whatever she wants with her own body. It's hers. But you want to go ahead and murder children with with bombs that all of us indirectly, unwillingly have paid for. You are the one who want to see a whole lot of dead babies in the streets. You are the ones who don't see the value in those dead men, women, and children. You say that Hamas is hiding behind. Well, if we were to go ahead and put your family behind a bunch of thugs here in America, would you be okay if the police gunned them down because the thugs are hiding behind your family? I don't think so. The hypocrisy, the warmongering, your inhumanity, the inhumanity of those people that are in your same cabal. America, you can do better. These guys are putting all of us at risk because they're creating terrorists.
We spend a lot of time.
Yes, they're creating terrorists. And that is the other thing that I don't understand. It shows you that these people don't believe these people are Palestinians or human beings. Think about this. If we had a whole bunch, let's say a mall got taken over by some thugs, and we have the thugs hiding behind a lot of innocent American citizens. Do you think we would have the same response as if we went on and said, well, those are thugs. We can't let them, we have to get to them. And since they're hiding amongst the people, we have to annihilate the people to get to them. It's a stupid statement. And we allow it. We allow it to make sense. We allow that argument to make sense. It's Hamas's fault that 35,000 innocent Palestinians get killed. Because they kill 1,200 Israelis, it is Hamas' fault that we have to go in and kill 35,000 Palestinians. When does your thinking cap get on? For those who buy that crap, when do you start to think and start to say, that doesn't make any sense? It doesn't make any sense to blow all these things up. It doesn't make any sense to destroy the schools where they need to go to learn, the kids. This is going to be they're locked in Gaza. They can't leave Gaza or anything. But at the same time, we destroy all the infrastructure that they need to survive. Can't you see the genocide in that? Those of you who claim humanity, can't you see how wrong that is? For those of you who believe in this Christian religion, don't you see what Jesus would say? It makes one speechless that there are in fact people who buy into this utter crap. It's hard to believe. All right, let's see. Paul Fleming says, what some of your Republicans don't really want our leaders have no problems with us working 75 hours a week like this Chinese company. More than a year after China promised to tackle excessive working hours in the supply chain, a new report suggests that the Chinese fast fashion company still has a problem. No doubt. Mike Cisak says, Michael Rudder, according to international law, if a military ends up using civilian buildings for military use, they are legitimate targets. Yeah, you can look, let me tell you what the United States did in Panama. We have a tall building in Colón called the 15 Pisos. All right. To hit it, they said, there were shots coming out of the 15 Pisos. So they lay a missile into it. Middle of downtown Colón. They laid missiles into destroying many areas, killed thousands of Panamanians. So in effect, we have done the same kind of things that Israel has done or that Israel is doing. But here's the deal, right? Not because we did it meant it should be done. We should learn our lessons. Because as unhinged as Lindsey Graham was, he did tell the truth. We dropped 2 atomic bombs that killed hundreds of thousands of people. And we did it under the same kind of ruling that Netanyahu is using. So we don't have the moral authority to come out and tell them killing innocent civilians is actually wrong. What we have the moral authority to do is to say we are atoning. And in our atoning, we won't support those who do use our bombs to do what we've done in the past for what we're atoning for. Think about it. We've done the same massacres that Israel is doing right now. But we are the good guys, right? Think a dead person know if they're killed by the good guy or the bad guy? A dead person just knows that the relatives and family of a dead person only knows one thing, that they're dead. Nothing more, nothing less. And until we get that in our cranios, until we instantiate that in our minds, we'll continue to have the same problems over and again. Anyway, the last subject of the day today is supposed to be trickle-down economics. And for that, I want you to read an article in Common Dreams. That article is called Trickle-Down Economics, Not Immigrants, Threaten the American Dream. The ongoing attacks on the humanity of immigrants pose a threat to all of us, and we lose sight of our nation's abundance and the promise upon which it was built. Seems like we have the jumpy scream syndrome today again, so let me try to put it in another context, and let's go ahead and get it that way. I think that one is a little bit more behaving. All right, so. We have to be careful, folks. We've got to be careful. Let me see something. If I move this, I want to try something here to see if I can fix that jump in thing by going to another screen. Let's see if it does anything by going here. Interesting. Is it going to stop? Well, so far, it doesn't look. Let me bring it back to where it was before now. There are multiple screens on this system, and I'm trying to see what stops it from flickering. Well, it starts back flickering there. If I put it back here, let's see if that flicker stops. Okay. Oh, well, it looks like the flickering changes. Doesn't stop completely, but anyhow, going back to the story at hand here, folks. So, anyway, trickle-down economics is really at fault. I want you to read that article, but there's one paragraph in that article that I want to read because it was a paragraph of hope that I thought, where they say it doesn't have to be that way. We all, we all wonder why things are the way they are. But there's a paragraph of hope in this article that I want you guys to read. And it says as follows, and bear with me as I scroll this baby to it. I want it, let's see. It doesn't have to be this way. The original American dream, coined in 1931, was a vision of our collective prosperity as a society and a happier life for us all. In the Epic of America, James Tuslow Adams described a dream of a social order in which each man and each woman shall be able to attain the fullest stature of which they are intimately capable, and they're recognized by others for what they are, regardless of the fortuitous circumstances of birth, which means rich or poor, we all have the same access to success. In other words, the freedom to thrive for all of us, no matter how much money we have, what we look like, or where we were born. By the 1970s, my parents were both working in factories earning minimum wage. They bought a house and raised 9 children. We had health insurance, went to school, and lived in a relatively safe community. We were far from wealthy, but society's promise of upward mobility in exchange for hard work was kept. Then came trickle-down economics and decades of policy decisions that transferred wealth away from working families in favor of corporations and the highest earners. And we see that today, and we see the continuation of this. All right, let me get that off the screen because it's sort of disconcerting. All right, let's go ahead now, folks, and see. Carl Cox says, Mike Cisak proves there is life after death, brain damage, life that is. Brief MCP says, see this crap? Why I can't understand these people. They're sick and they breed. Mike Cisak, it's actually the Biden administration who is trafficking women and children over the border. Again, let me tell you, Bridge, that's what you do is you simply disregard that. That is such an asinine statement. It's not worth putting into the ethos, right? Michael Egberto, we can't say we're the good guys by definition. Our deeds have to be examined. Exactly. I agree. All right. I agree with that statement 100%. Okay. Let's see. I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen the new New York Times polls for Biden, but I'm not concerned. Like I said, America is going to wake up in time. America will wake up in time. And when America wakes up, I'm pretty sure they will make the right decision. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. It's going to be a landslide for the Democrats. So don't worry, folks. Michael Rani says tunnels exist, but what bunkers? Good luck finding a video of a 2,000-pound bombs being used in a civilian neighborhood where they don't do collateral damage to surrounding buildings. There you go. Egberto, your screen is flashing. It's really distracting. That's why I got rid of it. All right. Tom Cernick has a limerick. That's how we're going to end the show today. We're going to end the show with Tom Limerick. There we go. I haven't read it, but it's always good. Let's get busy. RFK Jr. is a third-party candidate who thinks it's a bad idea to vaccinate. Doctors found a worm inside his head. It ate part of his brain, but now he's dead. The worm, that is, and not his brain. Unless the worm ate the part that keeps us sane, which could explain Junior's puzzling policies, filled with weird theories and conspiracies. While his claim to fame is the iconic Kennedy name, Junior's charisma and integrity are not the same. As his Uncle Jack's or father, the senior RFK's, character which America needs more than ever today. Sitting in his sinking vintage boat, RFK Jr. keeps trying to look for my vote with a worm that makes me squirm and palpitate. But I won't take the bait. Oh. You did it again, Zarnik. Mike, man, I tell you, is that a new one again? Don't forget, let's pack these babies up. Love it. All right, last message before I go for my ask. One can hope Marxists for Biden, democracy, to believe that more than half the people will be correct more than half of the time. Look, don't worry, folks. Don't worry. It's going to be a Democratic landslide. First of all, the polls have some issues with them, but I'm not going to go there about questioning the polls. I think the polls are right. I think the polls are picking up what the people who are willing to talk to the polls are going to say. I mean, don't worry about it. We are winning this thing in a landslide. I want everybody to go home and do the work necessary to inform the people who are willing to be informed. That's your marching order. Your marching order is to go inform the people who still have brain matter to be informed. That's our job. We're not going to win this because we want to win this stuff. We're going to win this because it's existential. We're going to win this because we make the case. So don't despair. Don't despair. Landslide is coming on the Democratic side. Anyway, folks, if you please support the program. The way to support the program is one way is to go to politicsdoneright.com/support. That is where you can find all the different links for supporting our program. Alternatively, or preferably, we'd like you to become a Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. All patrons get to read all our books at our online. All patrons get to read all our books online. So you're not, we're giving you something for your support. So please consider becoming a patron by going to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is how you spell Patreon. Patreon. Alternatively, please consider getting one or more of our books. You can find our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. politicsdoneright.com/books. Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man is my latest book. But the claim to fame here is, as I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. Subsequent to that, I wrote How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. But least but not least, it's worth it, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relative Friends and Neighbors. You can always get my books at politicsdoneright.com/books. Consider as well becoming a paid subscriber of our Substack newsletter. How can you do that? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. By subscribing, you assist us in doing this important work. We don't only do the program, we write blogs to keep the internet populated with the truth in the progressive space and other spaces. That's how the internet works. We write between 3 and 5, 6, 7 blogs a day. We also do podcasts, and we make sure it's disseminated. If you want to see all the different places that we work to make sure that progressive message goes out, I want to show you politics. Let's see. I don't think I wrote it in the link. I need to put it in here. politicsdoneright.com/info. Check that out. politicsdoneright.com/info, where you find everything there is to find about where on the internet we're placing all our articles and the works. Consider again, but most importantly, please consider becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.